Okay, hello, youth ministry people out there, families, young people, older people, people who join us. Like Stephen Kodikis' mom, she watches our episodes. I found out today on Facebook. So hello, Stephen's mama. I'm California, and welcome to this episode of Truth Bombs with the Saints, which will be about St. Pius V, a pope, which is always fun to talk about a pope, especially one from an era like St. Pius V. And today I am joined by youth ministry volunteer extraordinaire, math teacher. She doesn't like to think about the math teacher right now, Miss Sarah Meeker. Sarah Meeker is here today. And we're also joined by Becca Feldkamp, youth ministry extraordinaire over at St. Max. So good to have Becca. She's got the best name in the world because we're both Rebecca.
Great name.
Fine, I'll just go off in the corner.
Becca, I just want you to know my mom hated someone named Rebecca, and yet I do have the name Rebecca.
Was
So
that
I am
before
a
or after
Becky,
you were born?
but it's weird that my mom didn't like someone named, I don't know, what a story. So I guess she likes me. She overcame
Dad's
that.
idea to name you Rebecca? Like, because as a teacher, there are a lot of names that were off the list. I'm just saying.
I know, and that, because I was a school teacher too, when we named kids, it was hard. But I was supposed to be Angela, and I was born, and my dad said I didn't look like one. So they had to come up with another name.
I would agree. You for sure don't look like an Angela.
So, which is fun because in the Albrink family, my sister-in-law's an Angie, and there are Angie cousins and stuff, so it would not have been good. I don't know if Alex would have dated an Angie, to be honest. So it's probably good. I'm not an Angie. But then they called my grandmother and they said, it's girl. And my grandmother said, oh, Angela Marie. And my dad said, no, Rebecca. And she went, what? Because that's not what they were expecting. So here I am. So, yes. And Rebecca does get used often in my life still by my mother and by Father Kyle when I'm in trouble. Rebecca does come out of his mouth when I get in trouble. And youth ministers, we are the ones known to be in the most trouble in a parish setting, I think.
Oh, for sure. Without
we do.
I get fired every week.
Yes, I do too, you know? I always tell him, if you're going to fire me, I'll quit. He goes, if you quit, I'll fire you. I mean, this is the discussion, right? Because we're the ones who make the biggest messes, and yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But anyway, on with St. Pius V. So first off, we always talk about favorite parts of his story that we like. So Sarah, what do you like about good old St. Pius V?
So one of the things that really kind of caught my attention, probably because of being a convert, is he came after the Reformation, so he had to deal with the Protestant Catholic struggle that occurred, and even so far as he excommunicated Queen Elizabeth I, who was a Protestant, and supported her half sister, I think she was, Queen Mary of Scots,
Who was Catholic.
Yeah, who was Catholic. And so I always find that conflict interesting because, you know, I lived that conflict in my own life. So yeah, and I
found the excommunication of Elizabeth I so interesting because some of the comments that are made online about that was that excommunication, did that push her to actually kill more Catholics?
Right.
You know, because she was so angry with him. So, and that's a yeah, that's a grand old debate for another time. But it is interesting, and yet we have so many saints that then come from that era because of how they were treated. I don't know. God makes good. Yes, God makes good of a lot of situations. So.
For sure.
And Miss Becca, I guess you have a picture to show us. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, let me a picture and then like one other thing. Hold on, I need to remember how to do this now. Ah, yes, here we go. All right, so I stumbled upon this little gem while I was reading about his life. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
This guy here, and it was alarming.
He is kind of frightening looking in that picture.
He looks exactly the way I thought he would. I don't know. He's kind of got the like intense. Not that I'm watching you look, because I feel bad about saying that, but I don't know. Like he knew he was serious about his stuff.
He's very serious.
Yeah, he was very serious. I love that his hat matches his sweatshirt here, and his beard looks very soft. But for his story, I really enjoyed the part. I think it was either a bishop or a cardinal who's trying to get like his 13-year-old nephew or something into like the college. So basically, I think he was trying to get his 13-year-old nephew into the group of either cardinals or bishops. So like try to make a 13-year-old a bishop or cardinal, and Pius V was not into that at all.
Not happy.
He was not happy. And then, so I just thought that was kind of funny that, I mean, I'm trying to think of like now, I mean, like our youth group kids are 13 years old. Like imagine if someone was trying to like make one of the kids, you know what I mean? I just was thinking about that and was like, oh, yeah, no.
This would not be good for the church at all.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. And then something that I was afraid of at first and then came to appreciate, he's a very intense man, which immediately kind of put me off, because when people are really, really intense about like penances, that really intimidates me a lot. I'm not a good sufferer and I'm not a good sacrificer. But he, like, once he became Pope and he instituted a lot of these things that he wanted all of the town to be doing in terms of like different penances and reparations and stuff, he didn't ask anybody to do anything that he wasn't doing himself, which I think is cool, because he wasn't just standing on a box and saying like, all you sinners do this, you know. So I did come to appreciate that. As intense as some of the penances were, he was doing them too.
Oh yeah, we talked yesterday about St. Catherine of Siena and some of the stuff she would do. She made herself sick by fasting so often. So a little bit of craziness sometimes with the saints, with the extremes that they go to. But boy, do they love Jesus. We have a lot to learn, don't we?
Yeah.
There are just a couple other things about him that I find interesting. So he was right after the Council of Trent. So it sounds like he wasn't really part of all the decision making for the Council of Trent, but he had to actually put all that stuff in action. So he could have let all of that just sit on a shelf and ignore it, but he took it to heart and he actually made sure that all of that stuff was taken care of and enacted in the church. And it says he published a new missal, a new breviary, a new catechism. He established the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine Classes for the Young, which we call CCD. Now we call it PrEP or PSR or whatever we want to call it. And again, you had talked about the nepotism, so against the abuses in the church. And because he kept wearing his Dominican habit, which Dominican habits are white, they actually think this is why the popes to this day wear white. So I found that very interesting. He seems a little bit like Pope Francis. I think before we started the recording, we talked about he got rid of some of the fancy stuff. What was the one thing he got rid of, Sarah?
The first thing he got rid of, because it's so fancy to have one, was the court jester. Apparently popes before him had court jesters, but none since have had a court jester, just so you know.
Did Pius V not want to laugh? Maybe that.
Very serious man.
Getting rid of all of that kind of stuff and all that extra stuff, I think, is a really good thing. And he is the one who encouraged the people to pray for Our Lady, for Mary, to intercede on behalf of the European community to overcome the Turkish fleet that was coming. If the Turkish fleet had won, it seems that the assumption was if the Turkish fleet had won, they would have come in not only and destroyed Rome and attempted to wipe out Christianity in Italy, but then throughout all of Europe. So he encouraged the people to pray and Our Lady's intercession. And after the sea battle at Lepanto, I love the name. Becca said the name earlier too. Lepanto. He dedicated the date to Our Lady of the Rose, or Our Lady of Victory, which eventually became Our Lady of Rosary, which is an amazing thing. October 7th, and the church now we credit the entire month of October to Mary, because of that one feat, which was a huge feat. And the other story that I just absolutely loved is that he was not necessarily everyone's favorite obviously, if you're getting rid of abuses, you're not necessarily everyone's favorite or excommunicating people. And so it says that someone was trying to poison him and had put poison on the feet of his crucifix. And when he went to kneel before the crucifix and to venerate the crucifix, he moved to venerate it, and the feet of the corpus moved so that he was not poisoned. That is cool stuff. See, saints always have cool stories.
I think I would have passed out if I was going to venerate the cross and the feet.
Yeah, I'd be like, the heck?
What just happened?
The tears coming from Mary, the statues of Mary and stuff. Oh, I don't know. I always would tell the kids when I taught Old Testament. Now, we would talk about the burning bush. Okay, if any of you ever have a burning bush speak to you, could you please call me first? Because I'd really like to hear this stuff. Just call me. I'd like to know, right?
Yeah,
I think it's very interesting.
I'd have to wake up from passing out before I could call.
Then call me. Pretty please. I'd like to know. I'd like to know for sure. Okay, so let's get started. And Sarah, you get to go first. A question we haven't had in a very long time. So kind of dug to the bottom of the stack to get some fresh questions. So here you go. If St. Pius V could have any animal as a pet, what would it be?
Oh, any animal as a pet. I don't know why this is the first animal that popped into my head. But for whatever reason, probably because he was so tough, the first thing that popped into my head is a bull. You know,
because he's tough.
Yeah, he's tough, and he had his way that he was gonna make things happen and get rid of. And I kind of picture him like a bull in a china shop, like he just came in and changed things. Yeah, so bull is what comes to mind. I don't know.
Yeah, and I do kind of wonder, and I love that image of the bull in the china shop. I wonder how many priests and bishops and things got through Trent and thought, well, that's it. Whoever we get next as Pope, he won't necessarily take care of those things. And then, boy, were they wrong. He took care of it anyway. So
Yeah,
thought he was a lamb, and they definitely got the lion. So
yeah.
that, for sure. Okay, I really like. That's a great question. That's a great question. I had the question. You have the answer. Great answer. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, Miss Becca, your very first ever Truth Bombs question.
I know, I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
No, don't be nervous.
Okay.
Don't be nervous. It all works out.
There are no wrong answers.
That's true. There are no wrong answers either. What snack or sweet is St. Pius V's guilty pleasure?
Oh gosh. Probably I'm gonna say stale pretzels, because as a man of penances, he probably, I mean, because here's the thing, pretzels are a great snack, and I think everybody loves them. Maybe not everybody, but most people really like them. But there's a really fine line between like when they're good and when they're a little stale, and it's just kind of like dust crumbling into your mouth. And I don't know, maybe that's what he was chomping on while he was rewriting the the CCD and the catechism and the
missal and everything
else.
else.
You know, like he had to be eating something. So I think maybe to still fill himself, but to keep the penance going, he was probably chomping on stale. Okay.
I like that a lot, but they were stale. Yeah, he would be one of those who would intentionally leave the bag open because they couldn't be good. They'd have to be stale. Have to be stale.
Don't want to enjoy too much.
I don't. Can't enjoy things too much. I'm going to answer some questions today since there's just 3 of us. Sometimes I don't. So I'm going to answer questions today. This question is, what Sesame Street or Muppet character would he be?
I'm glad this is you.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Oh no.
All all that keeps coming to my mind because he's obviously not goofy. And I don't think he'd be grouchy. Even with all the penances, he seems like he'd probably keep himself not too grouchy. All I keep thinking is, would he be Bert? Of Bert and Ernie? Like a little critical?
Yeah.
Just a little critical. Now Ernie, the now Ernie thing. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm thinking a little bit of Bert.
Or
maybe Kermit the Frog would be the other thing. Kermit in the Muppet movies, he's always leading on to the next thing.
He kind of looks like one of the two old guys that sits in the balcony, though. I don't remember their names, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking.
Yeah, what are they called?
I always think of them as the old guys in the balcony, I'm sure.
Right. I don't know that anybody knows their names.
Sarah, come on. You got 2 screens there. You can Google it.
I know. I'm on it.
She can watch and Google all
Adler and Waldorf are their names.
Whoa.
He kind of looks more like Waldorf. He's the one with the longer face.
Oh, yes. He does have a longer face. He really has the very long nose, too, I noticed.
Yeah.
Italian nose. He was Italian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Italian. Yeah, Italian.
Yeah.
He was born in, he was actually a shepherd, I think, at first. So before he went off and started to learn.
He got a shepherd promotion.
Yeah, that's right. He sure did. He became a real shepherd of the people. Okay, so Bert or Kermit is what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, like, he's not a Grover. He's not a Gonzo. He's not any of that. He's not Big Bird. He's not innocent. He's got to have that little critical, and that's where I'm going with that. Okay, Miss Sarah, ready?
Yes.
What is St. Pius V's secret dream job? And you're not allowed to say a court jester.
She knows me, Becca. I get stuck on like one fact I find, and it answers every question I'm given.
The other day it was cabbage rolls. Cabbage rolls became everything for Peter Chanel.
Yeah, because Peter Chanel was covered in cabbage and pork when they brought his body, because they were trying to keep the Muslims away from him, and they covered him in pork. So then we turned it into cabbage rolls.
I was gonna say that's a great way to get rolled out, though.
Right? Okay. Sorry, what was my question?
What is his secret? His secret dream job? And I said not court jester.
Secret dream job.
Mm-hmm.
I think it.
When I said not court jester, she didn't know where to go.
No, right? No, I don't think Pope ever would have been in his like realm of what he thought he would do.
Oh, and I think it says that he begged them not to elect him Pope.
So
I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure he was one of those who just did not want to be Pope.
I feel like he would have just been happy being a little contemplative Dominican friar somewhere. Like, leave me alone. I just want to study and pray and wear my hair shirt and do my penance.
I mean, and I think, Sarah, that's so accurate, because it says other customs that he brought to the papal household, which supposedly, again, survived to this day, was the idea that he ate some meals in solitude, and that those private meals were supposed to be more frugal. So again, that's where he reminds me of Pope Francis a little bit. But definitely, yeah, I could see that. He would have just wanted to be a little Dominican, not be the man of the church. Yeah, but not a court jester. Gotcha.
I mean, I don't think he would have made a very good court jester. Did you see that picture she showed us?
I don't think it would have worked. No, not at all. Oh. Okay, I was just making sure we were recording. The other day I recorded a short video for the parish, and I clicked it off, and then I went to find it, and I didn't even hit record. So it is recording. So
it is.
Glad that was a 2-minute video and not one of these. I would have been absolutely crushed. So
that would have been so terrible.
Okay, Miss Becca.
Yes.
if Pope Pius V owned a restaurant, what would he call the restaurant? And you cannot say stale pretzel.
Okay. No, this is okay. The first thing that just came to mind, have you heard of the restaurant Pies and Pints?
Yes.
It would be called Pius and Pints.
There you go. Perfect.
That's brilliant.
Or stale pretzels. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you can
On
get
the bar.
all of your Lenten favorites.
No sauces, so no ketchup, no mayonnaise,
no condiments, no yeah, you get water.
no salt,
no salt,
sugar.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So really, people go for the pints. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Fact.
Or maybe for a blessing from Pius. That would be an okay thing. A
Oh, there you
papal
go.
blessing.
That's a big deal.
Good thing.
Yeah.
A good thing. Okay. So my question is, where would Pius V feel most out of place? You're the Pope. I mean, he was quite the man. So where would he feel out of place? You know, he would not like big celebratory celebrations. Like if Mary of Scots would say, come to the castle and come to a big old party, I don't think he would like the big old party. I think that would be way past his comfort zone. You know, especially if people were eating and drinking and making merry and dancing and all that. I think, again, he'd put his hair shirt on and crawl home and, not want to be that. So I definitely think where he would feel the most out of place, big old party with all those court jesters.
Yeah, tons everywhere.
Everywhere. Okie dokie, Misara.
Yes.
What advice would St. Pius V have given youngsters when he got old and gray? What would he have said to the youngsters? What would be his advice?
Pray always.
Pray always. That definitely fits him. Pray always. I'm still working on that one. That's a hard one.
I know, me too.
It's a hard one to do. I think because I don't know, wouldn't it have been easier back in there? I mean, it's the 1500s. They didn't have the radio and the TV and everything else. Your only book you owned, if you even owned a book, was the Bible. I mean, I think we just have lots of distractions. And I sound like I'm listing excuses.
To farm and cattle to take care of and chicken eggs to collect. And
You can like pray while you milk the cow, right?
there you go.
Hail Mary, full of grace. Okay. Or would it have been goats? It could have been goats. I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably would have been goats. Would have been goats? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess like because goat cheese is big over there, right?
Yeah. See, now every time I keep reading about all these saints, I want to travel, and we can't do any of that right now. Okay.
Well, you know, someday.
I know. Okay. So, Miss Becca, here is your question.
Oh, yes.
What would you buy Pius V in a Secret Santa exchange?
No.
A hair shirt.
No, that's not, I'm trying to come up with a better answer than hair shirt. You know what? Because he probably owns some already, but sometimes it's fun. Like, okay, what I was doing right before this call, I was actually on Amazon looking at cross stitch patterns.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to like buy those things because they look really nice when they're hanging on your wall, but it's also really fun to make them and then you get to hang them up. So maybe like a hair shirt making kit where he can learn to make his own, like knit your own hair shirt. And then
I really like that too because, you know, he liked hair shirts and making your own, you're like, you know, that would be great.
Yeah. So he'll have something to do. it's a new hobby, and he could probably pray alone while he did it, which he probably would have really enjoyed.
Yes. I actually think that would fit him very, very well. When you get to the gates of heaven and Pius V is standing there, Becca, just say, is that what you would have wanted for Secret Santa? I just need to know.
I have to know. Oh,
I'm always worried as to what's going to happen to us when we go to heaven. Hopefully we go to heaven and we meet some of these saints. So you talked about us for Truth Bombs with the Saints. We sure did. And you all were very off on everything. Okay, my question is, what is Pius V's hidden talent? Oh, a hidden talent of his? Boy.
Not court jester.
Not court jester. No, a hidden talent. Wow. I wonder if he was a speed reader.
Oh.
No. One of the cool things he did was proclaim Thomas Aquinas as a doctor of the church. And because he was writing all that stuff, I kind of wonder if he was a speed reader. That would be a cool talent to have, so he could read through the Council of Trent documents and make sure he was covering all bases. And he was.
How do you judge that at the time, though? Because if you're a reader, you're probably a speed reader compared to other people who can't read at all. Just saying.
So very true. Maybe he was. What's that called? Where you have the memory, the photographic memory. Maybe that was. That was a secret talent, because then he made sure that everything was covered from, again, the Council of Trent. He just made sure it was all done.
Yeah.
Nowadays, he doesn't have a computer. Nowadays, he'd just go through his little computer and make sure that it was all ready and done. So yeah, that's what I would do. Okay, Sarah, of all questions in the world, you're gonna like this one.
That worries me a little, Becca. What do you think?
I know, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
All right, hit me with it, Becky.
What would be his weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse?
Wow. Weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse.
I was thinking more of vampires. I was thinking a crucifix. That's a vampire thing, isn't it?
I mean, you could still use a crucifix, but
leave the poison on it.
Right. What would he? I don't know. I'm gonna, because he's no, he was Spanish. Italian, sorry. I was thinking
Italian. Yeah, he was Italian.
I don't know where that came from. I was gonna say guillotine because the time period, right? They just cut everybody's heads off. Right? That would be perfect in a zombie apocalypse.
That really got dark really, really, really fast. You're right, Becca. Yeah.
Your fault. You went the zombie apocalypse road.
I know, but I'm thinking, the rosary thing, I don't know. Could there be something with the rosaries or, yeah. I don't know. You really like your guillotine, don't you?
I do.
Me too.
You could have borrowed one.
Yeah. I'm going with it. I'm sticking with it.
He obviously made friends with a lot of leaders in Europe because he united them to fight the Turks. So borrowing one probably wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Said the zombies were coming.
Actually, the most humane of the torture devices that I could have come up with from that time period, having been to a museum of torture devices in Europe when I traveled one time. I'm just saying, guillotine, pretty humane.
Pretty humane after that long list.
We're talking about zombies, so I don't feel real bad about it.
Yes. Can you baptize a zombie? I would assume not.
Not, because I would think zombies don't have souls, but
yeah.
What do I know?
And wasn't there a book I sent you when I was in that one bookstore the one time, Sarah, about Could extraterrestrials be baptized?
Yes.
Is actually title of the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it give you an answer? Did you read it?
I didn't read it. I just stood there and took a picture of it and sent it to Sarah, and I went, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was a Catholic store. I'm going, someone took the time to write this. We're prepared when the invasion comes.
We are.
We know. We know.
The alien invasion.
Okay.
No one has written about baptizing zombies yet, Becky. Maybe that's your next book.
Yeah.
That's my next book. My first.
Your first
Aren't they
book.
Humans that get infected, so technically maybe they already started out baptized, right?
I mean, I suppose.
Is that how that works?
Sure.
I'm not sure.
We need to discuss this after, ladies, and
Yeah.
we'll read the book, okay?
We could come up with all sorts of situations. Extraterrestrials, zombies, vampires. We get through the whole thing. We'll see. We'll be ready. Ready for everything.
Bigfoot.
This is what we did. That's right. This is what we did during the pandemic, ladies. This is what we did. Make sure that we're all covered.
And you baptize Bigfoot. Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, we've really gone down a bad road. Okay, let's bring it back around, Miss Becca. I don't think this is going to help us though. What does Pius V secretly have a tattoo of, and where is it?
Oh yes. Okay. Oh no. All right. Well, okay. So this won't count because Madonna wasn't around at the time.
That's
but,
okay. We do all sorts of weird things, so we're good.
All right. I'm going to say Madonna, the singer, because he was probably a man who knew culture. Being in Italy, they were all surrounded by all sorts of culture. So though he didn't partake, he was probably, with the times. And so, Madonna's a big deal singer. And Madonna is also the name of Mary, who he loved. So, kind of back and forth, kind of one of those weird, how some people get the weird, like, celebrity tats. I think maybe it would have been something like that. That was the first thing. I don't know why. The first thing that came to mind was that, and then I couldn't get it out. So.
And you know what? He probably would have loved the pain of a tattoo. Again, he would have offered it up the entire time.
For sure.
There would have been some minutes involved in that. Yeah.
Yes. And I could see the back, and really, multicolors, so lots of pain, and he would have just offered that right up the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay, here is my question. Finish this poem about him. Roses are red, violets are blue. I had a youth ministry kid answer this, Becca, by saying what I wouldn't do to go on another youth ministry mission trip with you, which was very cute. So mine probably won't be so sweet. Roses are red, violets are blue. Oh, believe Jesus is the Christ, or I send Mary after you.
I like it.
That's like, that's probably my favorite question so far. That's really funny.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Believe in Jesus. Well, because he was anti-heresy, and then he liked the Mary. So I'm just thinking of Our Lady of Victory, how exciting that would have been. Okay, we got time for one more round, because then we gotta round up, because we're recording today between 3 and 4, and 4 o'clock is family rosary for my family, Becca, and I'm in charge of the Zoom link. So if I don't get on by about 5 till, I get the phone call from my mother. Where are you? Are you alive? So my parents have been strictly quarantined, and so this is a huge deal to them. This is the highlight of the day. All of us praying together, which is very cool. I'm not saying it's not cool. It's just that she does worry. Sarah knows she worries a lot.
She does.
Log on when we're supposed to. Okay. So one more round. Sarah, here is your question. If he went to a Chinese restaurant today, what would his fortune cookie say?
Oh. What would it, see, I don't think he would open a fortune cookie because that would be like a luxury. But what would it say if he did, huh?
Would it be one of those dumb ones that's not really a fortune? Because I always dislike that so much. You will have a happy day. Well,
right. Oh, this is a hard one.
Your lucky numbers today are 52.
Welcome to the Inquisition.
Oh, Becca probably ended up with, was that up your nose, Becca?
I was not ready. I think I got some water in my nasal.
Waterboard you.
Welcome to the Inquisition. That could have been what he passed out when he got to a town.
Yeah.
Right?
You know? Heretics, here's your cookies. And then, welcome to the Inquisition. It would have been awesome.
That's gold. Oh, that's good.
Sarah wins the water up the nose joke of the day. Oh, okay, good. I like that a whole lot. Excellent. Okay, Becca, here's your last question. See, you've survived. Isn't this awesome?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. If St. Pius V could time travel, where would he go?
Honestly, can he go in the future?
Oh, yeah.
He'd probably zoom on up here and slap a lot of people. I think he'd come here and he'd have a lot to say. I think he would, he'd want to set a couple of things straight, probably. He'd come up.
You think?
Kind of, you know, yeah, because they had a lot of stuff going on back then, too. And he seemed to handle it. So I think he'd probably come up and help us out a little bit.
I went a totally different direction. I went back to Wittenberg, Germany, and Luther's standing at the door ready to nail the 95 Theses on the door. And Pius is like, and no.
Well, and I actually think he would have recruited Martin Luther and said, this is the way we're going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of what Martin Luther said was not necessarily bad. I mean, the man was a Catholic. He wanted reforms too. It's just that it kind of went veered off course a little bit after that. So I think he would just put his arm around him and said, come here, son, we got some work to do.
Yeah. He would have added a disclaimer to the 95, or not a disclaimer, but you know how like with medications, they have the tiny print that's like, this does not mean blah, blah, blah. You may get ingestion, you know? And he would have just added like, this does not mean leave. You know?
That does not mean,
does not mean start another church. Just means we're going to fix some things, kids.
Yeah.
We still need to fix some things. The joys of having a church run by a bunch of human beings is
right. Always true.
I mean, yesterday we talked about Catherine of Siena. She was the one who tried to make sure we only had one pope again. So, you know, you gotta like keep the whole church, you know, functioning well. So sometimes we need those people to call us back to where we should be. I didn't say anything though. My question, the last question of the afternoon is, if St. Pius V were an app, which app would he be? And I was actually, because I was looking ahead and I was thinking he would be an app, but would be an app that you really couldn't close out of? So I was thinking like iBreviary, you could never get out of it. Once you opened it up, it would constantly reopen on your phone every time you opened your phone. So you would, because I was talking about the distractibility before, and you were saying pray always, Sarah. So I'm just thinking he would be iBreviary, but it would be like the birthday candle that never goes out, it would be that kind of app on your phone. It would just constantly keep opening back up. Like, it's time to pray. It's time to pray. And maybe we all need that. You what? Don't download it, because look what's going to happen. Yes. Yuck. It would be, yes. Be awesome. Okay. I think we did a very good job of honoring Pius V. I did not know until last night that he was the whole Our Lady of Victory, Our Lady of Rosary thing. I knew that story, but I didn't know which pope it was. So makes me feel very connected to him, especially with Our Lady of the Rosary here. One of those, oh, my alarm just went off with the Salve Regina to remind me about the Rosary. So that means it is time to go, ladies. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Bye, kids. We will see you soon. We love you. We miss you. And we are praying for you. Bye now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.